Chapter 221. Alex looked at the unconscious Fearow and couldn't help but think about what would have happened if this Pokémon was at his peak strength. Although the difference between LV49 and LV52 is not that great, in this case, it would make a huge difference. These three levels could have seriously negated a large chunk of the damage that Fearow received from Alex's Pokémon. The level represents the amount of life energy a Pokémon has. Life energy is like a skin layer covering the Pokémon's whole body, protecting it from diseases and attacks. Besides, it also amplified any attack from a Pokémon passively. This is also why if the level difference happens to be too great, the damage received by a Pokémon will be immensely decreased. With a level difference of 8 in the elite rank, even Alex's Pokémon's buffed up attack would have hardly affected this Fearow. That is the difference between partial damage and superficial damage. Alex looked at Fearow and started thinking about what to do with him. Unfortunately, powerful elite Pokémon are not very popular among the sellers. Alex remembered a book he had read. In this book, it was said that the chances of conquering a Pokémon are influenced by three main reasons: level, talent, and age. Of course, there are other factors like the trainer's strength, competence, Pokémon's species, personality, etc. But these three are the most important. Level. A Pokémon that has reached elite rank will make it a lot more difficult for the trainer to conquer it if he does not have another elite rank Pokémon. Of course, it also depends on the level of both Pokémon. The probability of succeeding in conquering a Pokémon is on average 25% if the Pokémon is on level 40, 10% if the Pokémon is on level 50, 0.1% if the Pokémon is on level 59. These figures are just general probabilities, but it shows how difficult it is to conquer even a level 40 elite rank Pokémon. The trainers, who try to conquer an elite Pokémon, almost always have to have a Pokémon stronger than the one they are trying to conquer to even have the above-mentioned probability. But even with these major disadvantages, Pokémon are relatively sellable between LV40 and LV50. Though the price is not good if it is not on the S rank. Talent. The arrogance, self-confidence, or you may say ego, is directly proportional to the talent of a Pokémon, which makes conquering a talented Pokémon much more difficult. Fortunately, conquering a talented Pokémon is not that difficult when it is still young or, at least, has not reached the elite rank. Age. Age is also a very important factor if you want to conquer a Pokémon. As a rule, older Pokémon are more difficult to conquer compared to young Pokémon. There are many reasons for this, but the main reason is probably habit and pride. When all these three main factors are against you, it is nearly impossible to conquer a Pokémon even if you have a champion-ranked team. Compared to the other two factors, talent and level, age is a little more significant, such that it is always more difficult to conquer an old Pokémon. Although old Pokémon have experience, the experience of a wild Pokémon is not worth much and even disadvantageous if you have to break their bad habits. Not to mention, these Pokémon hardly have any potential to grow. Old Pokémon are highly unpopular and are mostly not kept by trainers after they have caught them. Alex looked at Fearow and called Vulpix and shoved it back into their Pokéballs. Then he put the two Pokéballs in his backpack so that these two Pokémon could not see anything. After covering the two young Pokémon's sight, he said with an emotionless tone, "Crobat, kill him quickly. Although dead Pokémon is almost useless, it doesn't mean that it can't be sold as a corpse for a good price." Alex didn't feel bad about killing a Pokémon that was actively attacking his family. He even finds that it is almost self-defensive. Not that it matters. He has already killed for less. Crobat flew in front of Fearow and used Wing Attack to cut Fearow's head straight off. After a Pokémon is unconscious and its life energy is severely weakened, it is no longer unmanageable to kill a Pokémon spontaneously. Crobat, Scizor, and Eevee all had indifferent expressions when they saw this bloody scene. Gardevoir, Bastiodon, and Ditto had slightly different facial expressions but did not react very much. Blaziken was the Pokémon that showed the most reaction. First shock, then disgust, and later, slight sadness too. Alex could easily read these emotions of Blaziken but said nothing and continued to watch how she reacts. He felt that his daughter now has to deal with the bloody side of this world or that she won't be able to really grow up. Of course, he didn't want to overload her, so he watched her closely. After Alex had packed the body in his TRH device, he noticed that Blaziken was feeling better than before. Her eyes were somewhat more relaxed, even if they were still a little messed up. Alex picked up the 2 Pokeballs from his backpack and took out the 2 young Pokemon. Vulpix, who had finally left her Pokeball, looked at her father and pouted. "Father, why did you send us to the Pokeballs? That is unfair. We did nothing wrong." Shuppet said nothing but looked at Alex with an expression of curiosity. Alex looked at them both with a warm smile and said, "I'm sorry. I know that you didn't do anything wrong. I just had to discuss a very important topic with the others. A talk where only adults can participate." Vulpix continued to pout and started to ignore her father when she went to Gardevoir to complain about Alex. Shuppet didn't show any expression but went to Alex. He hugged him and followed Vulpix. Alex looked at them both with a genial expression. Chapter 222. Alex and his Pokemon continued through this vast and giant mountain range for several hours before Alex reached the place marked on the map. He had to cross 2 small mountains before reaching his destination. Luckily, the physical strength of people in this world is much better compared to his older world. Otherwise, it would have been quite a challenging journey to cover this distance so quickly. Not to mention, the exhaustion from such a journey can be dangerous, as it may lower one's guard due to fatigue. Alex found many Pokemon on the path and was even frequently attacked by them. The Pokemon in this mountain area were much more aggressive than the Pokemon from other places Alex has been to. Almost all Pokemon in this area attacked Alex after seeing his group, even if they were much weaker. Fortunately, there were only a few elite Pokemon among these attackers, while many had excellent potential. He was able to catch 16 silver Pokemon in that short time. Alex could now understand a little why many trainers come to this area despite the high risk. He had also removed Everstone from Eevee after it had gotten dim. Alex had 1 scale filled with normal type energy for 3 weeks by a champion rank Exploud of SS rank talent, and 1 top moon stone. These 2 should be enough to get Eevee to the shallow diamond rank. He believed that his friendship with Eevee should now be incredibly high and that it shouldn't be a problem for Eevee to evolve into Umbreon. Alex hoped it would happen this night itself. Although he doesn't quite know 100% how evolution works in this world, he thinks that he should, at least, have fulfilled all the basic requirements. Alex looked around for a good 1vs1 opponent for Eevee and saw a perfect opponent only 100 meters away, hiding in the open field. Dash. Pokemon. Graveler. LV. 42. Type. Rock Ground. Ability. Sturdy. Gender. Male. Potential. Shallow Silver. Moves. Innate talent Headbutt E. Dash. Alex had almost overlooked him because of how well this Graveler had camouflaged himself. But thanks to the system, he was able to spot him. More than half of his body seems to be in the ground too, so it was not surprising that Alex couldn't recognize him without the help of the system. Alex looked in the direction of Eevee and said, "This one is yours." Eevee simply gave a firm nod. Although this Pokemon can self-destruct, Alex had no worries of Eevee freezing like Blaziken at such a critical moment, reducing the danger of this move. So he wasn't afraid of him using self-destruct as a last resort. As long as Eevee reacts quickly enough and runs away, this move should not pose a threat to Eevee's life. Of course, there were other safety nets for the unlikely event that Eevee may not be in a condition to save herself. Alex wondered if he should let Eevee buff herself before the fight but decided against it because he wanted to keep it a fair fight. He's not sure how experience and leveling up exactly function in this world. But he thinks it would probably benefit Eevee more if she wins a fight in such a manner. Even if that is not the case, it is crucial to gain such combat experience. Graveler had spotted Alex and his group the whole time but didn't move. He hoped that this group just wouldn't notice him and would pass by. He had lived a long time and had already met several people who have entered these mountains with their Pokemon. Graveler has had a lot of excruciating experiences, so he prefers to avoid a fight, especially against such a strong trainer like this one. Alex can be considered better than an average elite trainer with his large number of elite Pokemon. An average elite trainer usually only has 1 or 2 low elite Pokemon with little potential. Only a few elite trainers manage to train a mid-elite Pokemon. And even fewer elite trainers succeed in training a high elite Pokemon. For most trainers, the elite rank is the goal, and not much growth is possible after that. But for a few talented trainers like Alex, elite rank is just the beginning and not the end. Graveler saw Alex's group getting closer and closer and couldn't stay still after the group was only 30 meters away. He gave a warning cry and observed Alex's group with watchful eyes. Alex smiled when he said, "Evie, use toxic." Graveler realized that he couldn't escape this group without a fight and started preparing a move. Evie, who started preparing her move earlier, finished first and hit Graveler with the toxic liquid, who was unable to move since he was preparing his own move. Alex felt this fight could go on for a while, so he had already considered a strategy that would work well in this fight. Evie, use charm. Graveler used stealth rock and created several flying sharp stones orbiting Evie. This ensures that Evie would now suffer damage if it runs around the battlefield fast. Alex was a bit impressed that this Pokémon had used such a clever move so early in this fight. He immediately recognized what he had to prevent and what condition he needed to fulfill for his victory. For a wild Pokémon, this is really a bit special, especially when you consider the species of Graveler generally have a low IQ, no offense. Evie gave a melodious cry, and invisible energy hit Graveler, who felt his body become a bit weaker. Graveler turned furious and ran towards Evie as he prepared headbutt. Evie, use work up while slowly building up the distance. Although Evie can no longer run fast, without suffering damage, she can still delay the time before Graveler comes into attack range. Graveler finished his move prior to Evie, but because he was out of range, he couldn't use his move yet. Evie took the chance and used work up immediately. Evie, Alex said with a calm voice, use the same move 2 more times. Thanks to stealth rock, Graveler was finally able to come within attack range and immediately began to use his before prepared move. Evie tried to dodge but failed and was hit by headbutt. She showed an emotionless face as she suffered this attack. Alex could tell immediately that this hit only caused her 20% of HP, despite it being an expert rank move and Evie not having a particularly good def. It seems that the preparation was worth it. Let's reduce the damage a little more, Alex thought when he saw this. Evie, Alex said with no change appearing on his calm face, just make sure he doesn't hit your head and keep using work up. Graveler also noticed that the damage was not very big, but since it was still relatively good, he decided to prepare another headbutt. He felt that it would only take 3 or 4 more headbutt to win this fight. As long as he doesn't pass out during this time, he should win this fight. Although he was poisoned, he felt that its effect was not very strong. Graveler didn't think he was going to be defeated by this weak Pokémon anytime soon. Chapter 223. Evie and Graveler both used the same moves for a while. After 2 more buffs, Alex felt that Evie had the victory in her non-existent pocket. Okay, Evie, use double kick. Graveler realized that his opponent was finally going on the offensive, but he didn't care much as it didn't change what he had to do. He had to focus on dealing as much damage as possible to defeat this Evie quickly. He stopped thinking about it as he prepared his next move. Evie already had lots of minor injuries on her body and looked as if she wouldn't be able to take this fight too long. Alex felt that Evie had 45% to 50% HP left. It's not much but still more than enough to execute his plan. Graveler finished first and used headbutt once again on Evie, who did not manage to dodge this attack. Evie, who had already suffered a lot of damage, continued to show an impassive face as if she felt no pain. Alex knew that Evie was still in her calm state and not in her frenzy mode. As long as Evie is not triggered with particular actions, she will maintain this calm state in combat. This trigger had already been pulled by an attacking Pokémon today when it insulted her family members. Its insult was plain stupid and childish, but Evie reacted to it with extreme aggressiveness. Her eyes turned red from the anger, and she immediately started tearing that relatively feeble Pokémon into pieces. Alex and his other Pokémon couldn't react in time as Evie hit a LV-25 Pokémon, killing it instantly, and began to tear its body to pieces. Nobody expected that such a childish insult would make Evie so angry, leading to such brutal actions from her. After that, Alex had a chat with Evie, once again, hoping that something like that wouldn't happen again. Although Alex had talked to Evie and Evie had promised not to do something like that anymore, Alex believed this promise itself didn't hold much weight. Despite the fact that Evie had made the promise with earnestness, she just can't hold herself back. Something like that was bound to happen again if someone crosses Evie's line of limit. Only the family members of Evie are an exception and apparently cannot exceed this limit. Evie finally got done and used double kick, which made Graveler's body ache. Although Evie dealt good damage, she had suffered a lot, too, which Alex didn't plan to keep that way. Evie, use rest. Now that both rest and sleep talk are on the expert rank, these moves are finally usable. Although they were previously usable, the cons were far too great to be used effectively in combat. These moves have to be trained at least on the expert rank before they are halfway usable, in Alex's opinion. Graveler saw all Evie's injuries being healed, and a grim expression spread on his face. Evie, use Sleep Talk. Sleep Talk on the expert rank is the perfect complementary move for that rest. Not only can it be used when a Pokémon is sleeping, but the preparation time is always the same regardless of which random move is executed. Alex even read that when Sleep Talk is trained to master rank, you even get to choose the moves a Pokémon uses, and it is no longer random. According to Alex, Evie has an almost invincible moveset with these innate talent moves. As long as Evie evolves to Umbreon and trains both of these moves to master rank, she should be invincible while fighting Pokémon at the same level. As long as she doesn't take enormous damage at once or has to fight a buffed-up Pokémon like Scizor, she should not lose. Graveler and Evie both started spamming their moves over and over again, and you could quickly see which of them had the upper hand. Evie again suffered fair damage from 2 headbutt but reciprocated by hitting Graveler twice bite and double edge. Although these attacks didn't do much harm to Graveler, Graveler's body was starting to look worse as the fight prolonged. What was even worse is that after this exchange of moves, Evie woke up. Graveler looked desperately in the direction of Evie before turning back, running away. He felt that this fight was no longer possible to win and didn't want to use self-destruct as his last resort, so he decided to make a run for it. Even though he knew he was too slow, he hoped the human was too lazy or prideful to chase after him. Many strong Pokémon had a big ego, so he hoped that this trainer was like them, too. Unfortunately, he realized his foolishness when he was hunted by the main members of the team. Graveler, Scizor, and Crobat all used a move, and Graveler dropped to the ground, along with his escape plan buried deep into the underground. While Alex was thinking about his next step, he suddenly saw a bright light in this darkness. He looked in the direction of Evie and showed an excited expression. He gave these items to Evie and waited excitedly with his Pokémon. Pokémon. Umbreon. LV. 42. Type. Dark. Ability. Synchronize. Gender. Female. Potential. Shallow Diamond. Move. Perfect Talent. Rest E. Perfect Talent. Sleep Talk E. TM Toxic. TM Shadow Ball. TM Facade. TM Protect. TM Attract. Alex saw the 3 new moves along with the upgraded potential and couldn't help but show a luminous smile. Chapter 224. Umbreon slowly opened her eyes and started checking out her new body. Alex and his Pokémon surrounded her. They, first of all, congratulated her on her new form and then started chatting with her. The atmosphere was quite cheerful. Umbreon was showing a much more gentle look compared to before and looked amiable. But Alex knew that she was like this only to her family members and otherwise is remarkably suspicious and hostile to strangers. When everyone was talking to one another, Bastiodon was suddenly alerted. "We are in danger," Bastiodon cried out. "A large Pokémon underground is moving quickly in our direction." Before Alex or the other Pokémon could react, a large Onix burst out of the ground just 50 meters away from Alex's group. It brought its remaining body out of the underground and stood there, keeping an eye on Alex's group. Pokémon. Onix. LV. 53. Type. Rock Ground. Gender. Male. Potential. Deep Gold. Moves. Bind. Fire Fang. Harden. Ice Fang. Mud Sport. Tackle. Thunder Fang. Screech. Rock Throw. Rage. Rock Tomb. Sandstorm E. Slam. Rock Polish. Dragon Breath. Iron Tail. Stone Edge. Innate Talent Dig E. Innate Talent Double Edge E. Innate Talent Earthquake M. TM Protect. TM Roar, TM Toxic, TM Taunt, TM Hyper Beam, TM Dig, TM Facade, TM Rest, TM Sleep Talk, TM Euro Ball, TM Stone Edge, TM Dark Pulse, TM Substitute. Alex saw the information of this Onyx and immediately understood why Bastiodon wasn't able to discover him sooner. He also noticed that this Pokemon was not a wild Pokemon. He must have had a trainer before or still has. Crobat suddenly perceived something too and said with a grim face, "A person riding on a Pokemon is flying in our direction at a breakneck speed." Alex noticed that this situation was pretty grave. He didn't waste any time as he said telepathically, "Gardevoir, prepare teleport. Use it immediately if I give you a signal or if you happen to find a strong Psychic-type Pokemon." Although he wanted to stay a while longer to find out who this Pokemon belongs to, he didn't want to take any chances. If this other trainer also has a powerful Psychic-type Pokemon, Alex was not ready to take this risk and severely restrict his escape options. It is much easier to escape a powerful Psychic-type Pokemon if you are far away from it or have already prepared a teleport. As long as a champion-level Psychic doesn't suddenly come from the Pokeball of its trainer and interrupts, Alex can always escape. Alex didn't believe that champion-level Pokemon are so common, let alone Psychic-type champion-level Pokemon. Even if this trainer has one such Pokemon, it still shouldn't be impossible to escape if Gardevoir teleports fast enough. Under the assumption that Gardevoir has already prepared teleport, Alex looked in the direction where Crobat was looking and saw only one tiny dot in the sky, getting bigger and bigger as it was coming closer. After a few seconds, it was so close that Alex even recognized the information of the flying Pokemon. Pokemon. Aerodactyl, LV. 50. Type. Rock, Flying. Abilities. Pressure. Gender. Male. Potential. Gold. Move. Bite. Wing Attack. Roar. Supersonic. Rock Throw. Agility E. Ancient Power E. Takedown. Crunch. Rock Slide E. Fly. Innate Talent Dragon Claw E. Innate Talent Frustration. Innate Talent Steel Wing E. Onyx didn't show any expression the whole time and didn't move a meter. But his gigantic appearance and massive strength ensured that none of Alex's Pokemon forgets about this monster. Alex and his Pokemon did not show any aggressive behavior either and patiently waited for the trainer of this Pokemon to appear. After only 10 more seconds, the Aerodactyl arrived near Alex. Alex could finally see the trainer on the flying Pokemon. And what a surprise! The trainer landed next to Onyx and looked at Alex's group with a rock-hard face with a curiosity plastered over it. Brock. Alex immediately recognized who this trainer was. That was the second time he met Brock face to face. The last time he met him was more than a half-year ago. Even though Alex knew that the trainer of these two Pokemon was Brock, he still kept a watchful eye. Although the games in his world can be used as a reference for the character of a trainer, it simply cannot rely on it. Assuming that character would be the same in this world is a foolish thought. Brock, for example, is a powerful and influential person in this world as a gym leader and is very popular with women. Also, he's a lot older now than he was in the games or the anime. Alex doesn't quite know what else in this world has changed, so he's not sure if Brock is really trustworthy. So he would have to be vigilant around him. Especially since Brock didn't have such a good reputation in this world. He is often referred to as a lazy, arrogant, and fun-loving person. He is also regarded as one of the least popular gym leaders of Kanto. Of course, he was still relatively popular. But it's nothing compared to other gym leaders' popularity. "Hey, aren't you that Alex guy?" Brock said out loud, taking Alex out of his reverie, who won the last rookie tournament. "Yes, gym leader Brock." Alex gave a fake smile and said, "I'm Alex. It is my honor that such a famous person like you recognizes me." Ha ha ha. Brock, hearing Alex's words, immediately laughed out loud. "I understand, I am great. But no need to be excited about it, boy." Chapter 225. Looking at Brock's attitude, Alex couldn't help but be a little disappointed. He felt that Brock's character was quite imperious. It was really no wonder that, after a few years, he would become the weakest gym leader despite no longer having the title of youngest gym leader. Alex also felt that Brock didn't have much growth left. His Pokemon seemed to be at their limit. Alex knew that Brock got his Onix from his father, Flint, at the age of 10. That gave him a great head start. He had the feeling that Brock wasn't training much after seeing the potential of Brock's Pokémon. He didn't think Brock would ever be anything but a weak gym leader. Gym leaders' strengths in this world range so much that you can find a gym leader with Elite 4 strength to a gym leader like Brock. A regular elite trainer may find Brock's strength unrivaled. But for Alex, he was just a mediocre person in this world full of powerful men. If an Elite 4 member can defeat your entire team with only one Pokémon and your Pokémon don't have any room left for improvement, you would never be a part of the big league, according to Alex. Even Misty is way better than Brock in terms of talent or character. Alex is sure that after 2 years, Misty will be as strong as Brock even though she is much younger. So, what are you doing here in such a dangerous area? Brock continued his haughty demeanor as he said, trainers like you have no business here. Without having, at least, the same strength as me, you are as good as dead here, rookie. Brock said the last word filled with mocking. Alex couldn't believe what an arrogant prick this guy was. Why is this third-class trainer addressing me as rookie, even though he clearly knows my name? Alex thought, and this tone. What is up with that? Does he think of himself as some prodigy? Does he think everyone started training at the same age as him with the same resources? Without the help of his father, this untalented bastard wouldn't even be able to talk to me. Alex knew that he shouldn't anger this guy. But he also wanted to protect his pride. Especially since his family was present here. Disrespecting him in front of his family is like disrespecting his family to him. He can't allow that. Alex stopped with his fake smile and looked straight into Brock's eyes. No offense, but that's none of your business. Also, I find the term rookie very inappropriate for me. So I would suggest you call me by my name, Alex. Normally, Alex wouldn't stay so humble and formal around such guys. But because he doesn't want to make unnecessary enemies with someone with such a high position, he tried to suppress his emotion. Although his position in the alliance is good enough that he doesn't have to worry, it is always advisable not to make powerful enemies unnecessarily. Brock looked angry when he heard such words from Alex. He felt as if he was being looked down on even though he was so high in the sky. He found Alex's way of winning in his last tournament very despicable and thought that the fame that Alex got was very unjustified. Alex gained sudden popularity because of his victory, and it was many times more than the winners from previous years. The reason was, of course, that he was the first participant to win this tournament despite not being in the top 3 of the power ranking. He had done something that was considered impossible and was often used as a joke. Brock gave Alex a stern look and said, I called you rookie, because you are a weak trainer. A rookie trainer. When you get strong enough, I will call you by your name, rookie. And I would decide whether it is my business or not that you stay here or not. I'm the one who has the power here. So you better understand your position. Now that you understand who's the boss here, you better show some respect. And, an apology would be very appropriate. Alex couldn't help but feel the irony here. Just when he tried to be diplomatic and be as humble as he can in a long time, the situation escalates. This guy just wanted to show off his power and push around the trainers weaker than him. All the Pokémon were looking at Alex with tense faces. They were wondering what he would do. Scizor and Crobat, in particular, had grim faces. Gardevoir kept a calm demeanor, but she was worried for her father. Blaziken was fuming with anger and was gritting her teeth. Bastiodon was prepared to tank an attack if such a situation arose. Eevee just wanted to kill this guy, but she remembered her promise to her father. But her aggressiveness couldn't be hidden. But no one would blame her this time. Vulpix was curious to see how Alex would handle the situation. She was also angry at this guy, who came out of nowhere and insulted her father. While Shuppet was wondering whether he should go and hug Alex. And well, ditto, he was ditto. You couldn't see any emotion on its face. But he shared similar feelings like others. Everyone thought about how after going through all of this struggle to get strong in such a short time, this guy shows up from nowhere and pushes down Alex. And why should they be the ones to apologize? Mr. Brock, I don't like being pushed around, Alex said in a threatening voice, so, I would recommend you to not offend people. Especially the ones who can be a threat to your life in the future. To be honest, I wonder how you have survived so far without offending the wrong person. Maybe, It's because you only threaten people weaker than you. Quite bold of you, huh? Brock was arrogant but not stupid. So he understood that if he said something wrong now, this Alex guy would be an enemy in the future. Normally, Brock wouldn't care. But because Alex has a good position in the alliance and is rather talented, so he hesitated a bit. He himself didn't know exactly why he was so rude to Alex. But somehow, he couldn't stand Alex. And the last words of Alex didn't help in calming down his emotions either. So, let me get this straight. You're giving a gym leader a death threat. You know that I can arrest you for it, right? Alex started to laugh when he said, haha, use a method like that to scare kids. Please, don't insult my intelligence with such a stupid threat. Hearing Alex's reply, Brock felt an urge to go down and beat the respect into this guy. The way Alex was looking down at him as if he was better than him. The arrogance, the contempt, it just bothered him too much. One thing's for sure, you have a big mouth. Real men fight with their Pokemon, not that you can understand something like that. Brock showed a proud face, almost on the edge of turning into a smug one, as he said. So if you are a man, fight me. Or are you one of those cowards who can only blabber with their big mouths? Alex, who heard so many stupid statements in a row, felt more and more, should he say, disappointment. From Brock, he felt like he was talking to an arrogant, stupid, stubborn kid and not a person who has power in the alliance. *Sign nepotism is apparently just as much a problem here as it is in my old world, thought Alex when he started to find this situation funny. Brock saw that Alex only sighed in the reply and said with an arrogant smile, what's going on? Why the sudden silence? Did you finally realize who you are up against? Alex's good mood vanished right there, and he couldn't help but facepalm. He said telepathically, Gardevoir, take us out of here. The longer I talk to this idiot, the more brain cells I lose. Gardevoir gave a small smile and nodded. The next second, Alex and his family vanished from there. Hey, I knew that this Alex wasn't half as good as everyone says. Chapter 226. Alex and his other Pokemon suddenly appeared in an area where they had briefly rested 1 hour ago. There were only some bushes around. But hills protected them from the sun here. So it was the best place to take a break. Alex didn't really feel real anger for Brock's childish behavior. I was more like disappointment, along with contempt. What bothered Alex the most about Brock was not his character but that idiot doesn't try to improve his Pokemon's talent to SS rank. He had a deep gold Onix, but he doesn't seem interested in turning him into a shallow diamond Steelix with a valuable steel-type item. Admittedly, Brock doesn't have the same knowledge as Alex of Pokemon's potential, but Alex finds the behavior very stupid. Even if you think that there is a slim chance that Onix will become an SS rank Steelix after the evolution, you should still do it. What is he waiting for? Besides, Steelix is many times better than Onix. This is not an optional evolution like Scyther and Scizor, where you can't say for sure that Scizor is absolutely better. Both have base stats of 500, and both have good moveset. Alex could list more than 10 reasons why Steelix is better than Onix. There is only one thing where Onix is better than Steelix. And that Onix is faster than Steelix. This is the only real advantage Alex can think of. Alex can only imagine that Brock, for whatever reason, prefers Onix species much more. These things make Alex a lot more angry than Brock's childish behavior. To him, it looked like a very talented Pokemon was given to a mentally handicapped trainer by his powerful father. Alex doesn't think Brock could have ever become a gym leader without the help of his father. Although Brock is probably not totally useless as a trainer, Alex just felt that Brock was, at the most, slightly above average. After this conversation, Alex didn't want to talk to Brock again anytime soon. Even if he becomes a more powerful and influential trainer than Brock in the future, Alex will not go after Brock specifically. Alex doesn't think Brock is really someone who would try to harm him with his power. Brock is just a stupid and spoiled kid who doesn't have anything to do. It's a shame that it is so difficult to conquer an elite Pokemon and almost impossible if they are of other trainers. Or else, I would have probably stolen Onix from him in the future after becoming strong, thought Alex with a playful smile. He started to chuckle a little after thinking about it some more. He assumed for a second that conquering an elite Pokemon, who already has a trainer, isn't that hard. And he also has a champion-level Pokemon, making it easier for him. Even then, he wouldn't try to steal that Onyx. Because Alex isn't crazy enough to try to rob a gym leader. Robbing or attacking a gym leader is no joke, and he will feel the full force of the Alliance chasing him. A shallow diamond Pokemon is worth a lot, but not enough for the whole world chasing after you. At least not for Alex. Maybe if it was a deep diamond Pokemon, Alex would give it a thought. Alex looked around and noticed that it was starting to get dark and that it shouldn't take long before the sun sets down. Gardevoir, remember this place and teleport us back to town. Alex, who had a Psychic-type Pokemon on elite rank, had no reason to sleep in such a dangerous place. Pewter City. Alex was walking down the street when he suddenly got a call. He looked up the screen to see who was calling. It was Lisa. Executive Lisa. Alex was slightly intrigued as he answered the call and said, "Why are you calling me so late?" "Hello to you too, Tilda. Alex darling Tilda," said Lisa in her trademark tone. "Good evening, Executive Lisa." Alex just shook his head as he said, "Now, can you tell me what's going on?" "Good boy Tilda," Lisa said in an amused tone while nodding to herself. "See, that wasn't so difficult Tilda." Alex suddenly felt a strong urge to throw his TRH device on the floor and stomp on it several times. He managed to calm himself down by inwardly saying to himself, "She's just kidding. Don't let yourself be provoked. Take a deep breath and calm your mind." Single quote. Alex didn't know why, but as soon as he heard, "Good boy," he couldn't help but get really mad. He felt that this title was very insulting when thinking about how and when Lisa probably uses it. He said in a detached tone, "Executive Lisa, if you called me just to annoy me, I will be hanging up now." "Oh Tilda someone is quite sensitive today Tilda." Then, suddenly playful tone changed to a serious one. "Alright, let's be serious and get to the topic." Alex felt that today was really a bad day. Not only did he have to hear the stupid statements from Brock, but also from Lisa, who was particularly annoying today. "Alex, I need your help with this tiny little thing." "And what is this tiny little thing we are talking about?" "Though I owe a few small favors, I won't accept a mission that's too big." "It's not really a big deal. You won't need more than 6 hours to complete this assignment probably, and there won't be any danger to you, too." "Executive Lisa, just put the cards on the table and tell me directly what you want me to do." Okay Tilda, I want you to accompany Lars to a relatively safe area so that he can gain a bit of experience there and possibly catch a good Pokemon. You only have to accompany him for 1 day, and then you owe me no more favors." Alex couldn't help but raise his eyebrow as this took him by surprise. This was not something he expected. Chapter 227. Several thoughts immediately started rushing through Alex's head. Why does she want me to go with Lars and protect him? Is he a baby that would need a babysitter? Why can't he just train alone? Wait a minute, is this his first experience? Has Lars really not experienced any relatively dangerous situation in these 6 months? Is this really his first time in a dangerous area? Even if that's true, why does she want me to babysit Lars for his first relatively dangerous job? Is he very useful as a subordinate? It shouldn't be worth it that she wants me to protect him like that. Wait. That means that Lisa considers Lars to be so important that she even wants to protect him in a relatively dangerous environment for trainers. Suddenly there was a gleeful grin on the face of Alex. I can only imagine 2 reasons why Lisa wants to protect him. Either she sees something valuable in Lars, which is highly unlikely. Or, she has an emotional attachment to him. If that's the second reason, I can use it pretty well if necessary. Although Maria and Lisa are friends, you never know what will happen in the future. Knowing Lisa's weak point is definitely an advantage that might come in helpful in the future. Alex chuckled as he said, "Haha, Executive Lisa, I wasn't expecting that you would ask something like this from me. I didn't know that Lars was so important to you. I wonder why that is." Lisa didn't say anything for a few seconds before saying in an ice-cold tone, "That's none of your business. No reason to be so rude. We're friends." Alex smirked as he said, "Don't worry, I'll protect your little treasure for you." Ha ha ha. Alex couldn't help but laugh out loud at the end. He didn't know why, but he found this very funny. He suddenly found a way to annoy Lisa. The tables had turned. He could suddenly hear a loud noise through the TRH device and then a male's scream. Lisa is probably venting her anger on someone else, Alex thought when he heard this noise. She said sternly, "Alex, come to my office tomorrow morning," and cut the call without waiting for Alex's confirmation. Alex, who was not afraid of Lisa's anger, enjoyed his little revenge on Lisa. Both of them annoy each other just for fun, and it doesn't influence the relationship they have with each other. And that's because neither is that stupid to take offense from a joke. Alex had chosen Crobat to be outside while they were in the town, so he was just there, overhearing this whole conversation. He said with a disdainful look, "Are you a kid? What was up with that?" Alex's humor is peculiar, and it is rare for him to laugh out so loud. Maybe he was enjoying this moment a bit too much. His jolly mood stayed unchanged when he heard Crobat. Alex said with an ironic look and a smirk, "You think that's childish? What about the childish bickering you and Scizor have every other day?" Crobat, who couldn't think of a good counter, moved his head sideways and started ignoring Alex. He was suddenly on the lookout for hidden enemies, in the middle of the city. Alex rolled his eyes and found a place where he could safely change his face. He planned to go back to the underground base of Team Rocket to sleep. He would go for Lisa's mission tomorrow. Pewter City, Team Rocket Underground Base. Alex opened his eyes and stretched his body. He slowly got out of his bed and went to the washbasin with his groggy eyes. He first splashed water on his face to get out of this sleepy state before going on to brush his teeth and take a shower. After sending a message to Lisa and agreeing upon a time, he started preparing breakfast for everyone. Although he felt that it was a waste of time to look after Lars for a whole day, it was worth it if he gets rid of all of Lisa's debts of favors in exchange for it. After Alex and his Pokémon had their fill of the food, it was time to meet Lisa. He went with his fake face in the direction of Lisa's office and only needed a few minutes before he stood in front of the door of her office. Alex knocked and went into the room only after hearing the words, "Come in." Only Lisa and Lars were there, sitting next to each other and having some kind of breakfast. Alex suppressed his urge to greet Lars with the words, "Lars, I'm surprised that you are not eating your breakfast under the table." He heard from Brand how he had once seen Lars under Lisa's table, and the mental damage he received due to the imagination was not small. Alex didn't say these words at the end because he felt that these words were a bit too disrespectful. After all, Lisa is still his superior, even if it's only in the name. And he shouldn't overdo it with his jokes. "Alex," Lisa smiled as she said, "thank you for taking this assignment." "No problem." Alex gave a polite smile. "After all, I owe you the favor." "Okay, I only have one request for you." Lisa gave a gratified smile. "Protect the life of Lars and his Pokémon while they train in this forest. I've already explained to Lars in detail how he has to behave so that you don't have to worry about him causing you a problem." Lars just watched and said nothing when both talked about him. Alex looked in the direction of Lars and nodded. "That's good. I was worried that it might turn out more troublesome than you gave out initially." Don't worry." Lisa looked at Lars and said with a sadistic but loving smile, "He won't disagree with an order from me." Lars blushed and looked in the direction of Lisa with a warm look. Alex, who saw this scene, suddenly wanted to leave this room as soon as possible. BDSM is not his thing, and this type of relationship makes him very uncomfortable. "Okay, let's go, Lars," Alex said, not wanting to stay here any longer. "Also, Lisa, if I have an emergency, I'll contact you. So you don't have to worry." Lisa nodded and gave Lars a particular look. Lars seemed to have understood it as he nodded in reply. Alex, who saw this exchange between Lisa and Lars, was 99% sure that Lisa was protecting Lars because of emotional reasons. Although he didn't fully understand what great qualities Lars had that Lisa fancied, that had nothing to do with him. Just knowing this fact was beneficial enough. Chapter 228. Viridian Forest. Alex, wearing his Ditto mask, was together with Lars in the beginning part of the forest. Viridian Forest's outer area is very safe and a good training place for rookie trainers. But that does not mean that there are no powerful Pokémon in this forest. If you go deep enough into this forest, you can even come across elite Pokémon. So it is a good training place for people with limited strength, like Lars. Alex said with an unconcerned tone, "Okay, let's get our Pokemon out. Lars and Alex hadn't exchanged any words so far, so the atmosphere was rather strange because of that. Although it's a bit weird, Alex prefers this to Lars talking to him. He had no interest in talking to Lars and thought that it would be best if this situation stays the same. Alex felt he understood Lars's character relatively well, or at least a few traits of it. According to Alex, Lars is a hot-headed person who will easily swallow his pride in front of a stronger person. But if he is against a person he thinks is inferior to him, then his ego would flow like the Amazon River. There is only one thing that Alex didn't quite understand before today. Why did it seem like Lars was head over heels in love with Lisa? He couldn't understand the attraction of being beaten, insulted, and mistreated. Why would you still like the person who does this to you? But after he saw the care Lisa takes of Lars today, he could understand it, a little bit. But even if he had a guess, he couldn't really understand how the relationship between Lisa and Lars works. Well, it doesn't matter. I just have to know that Lisa really has feelings for him in order to take advantage of it if such a situation arises, Alex thought as he got half of his Pokemon out of their Pokeballs. He got Gardevoir, Crobat, Bastiodon, and Umbreon out of their Pokeballs. Alex didn't want to reveal too many of his Pokemon when he is out with a Team Rocket member and has worn his Ditto mask. Although Lars was wearing regular trainer's clothes, Alex wanted to be on the safe side just in case something unexpected happens. Alex had also prepared a plan for the plausibility of this being a trap by Lisa. In such a case, he wanted to remain flexible. Alex didn't think Lisa would really try to lay a trap for him since she has no reason for it. But for a very slim chance, Alex wants to be guaranteed. Lars checked the surroundings once more before taking out 2 Pokeballs from his belt, throwing them on the floor. A Crobat and an Alakazam appeared on the ground. Alex didn't waste time and checked their information. Pokemon. Crobat. Type. Poison, Flying. Ability. Inner Focus. Gender. Male. Potential. Shallow Silver. Moves. Absorb. Supersonic. Astonish. Bite. Wing Attack. Confuse Ray. Swift. Haze. Leech Life. Mean Look. Innate Talent. Cross Poison E. TM Protect. TM Toxic ETM Sludge Bomb. LV. 32. Attribute. Psychic. Ability. Inner Focus. Gender. Male. Potential. Shallow Gold. Moves. Disable. Kinesis. Teleport E. Psybeam. Ally Switch. Psycho Cut. Recover. Psyshock. Role Play. Future Sight. Innate Talent. Future Sight E. Innate Talent. Reflect E. Innate Talent. Psychic E. TM Protect. TM Calm Mind. A surprised look crept its way on Alex's face. Crobat was at such a low level despite being shallow silver Pokemon. After more than half a year, a good trainer with enough money can bring a shallow silver Pokemon to LV30 or even LV35. This Crobat was only level 27 despite Lars not having any money problems. It shows that he doesn't really spend much time training him. Level 27 within 6 months is fantastic for ordinary trainers. But only if you have a bronze Pokemon and not a shallow silver Pokemon while having enough financial support. But what really impressed Alex is Lars's second Pokemon. A shallow gold Alakazam reminded Alex a lot of the Alakazam from Lisa. It had 2 out of 3 of the exact innate talent moves and even looked relatively young. This third innate talent move, not similar to Lisa's Alakazam, probably came from Lisa's Alakazam's partner. Alex was pretty sure that this Alakazam was the child of Lisa's Alakazam. Mainly because he had heard a long time ago how Lars had gotten a good Pokemon from Lisa. Although this is an S-rank Psychic-type Pokemon, it should have been a Silver Pokemon or, at max, a Deep Silver Pokemon at its birth. But even if that's the case, this Pokemon is still extremely valuable. Alex also suspected that Lars was spending most of his time with Alakazam during the training. His neglect towards Crobat was visible. Other than that, he couldn't explain why a Pokemon that Lars got later, still very young, is stronger than his starter Pokemon. Although trainers in this world often do that, Alex doesn't like this type of behavior. Though he can understand why some trainers would choose to do that. When the survival rate for trainers under the elite rank is grim, and you have little money, it is not irrational to make such a decision. But why Lars, who doesn't have this problem, still neglects his start Pokemon is not understandable to Alex. Alex stopped thinking about this pointless topic and suddenly saw how Bastiodon had a confused face as he was looking at Lars. Alex asked telepathically, "Bastiodon, what's going on?" Bastiodon looked at Alex and said with a puzzled face, that person seems to have some kind of steel thing between his legs. This is the first time I've felt steel in a place like this. What is that? A steel thing between his legs? He couldn't but be a bit surprised when he thought, is that a gun or a piercing? Bastiodon, Alex asked seriously via telepathy, what shape is this steel thing between his legs? Bastiodon paused a few seconds before he said, it has a strange shape. It reminds me of armor, but it is much smaller and only protects a very small part of the body. There is also a tiny steel lock on it. It really is awful armor, if you ask me. Alex started to put the pieces together that Bastiodon had given him and facepalm inwardly. I think I know what that is, but I wish I didn't know. I should never have accepted this stupid assignment, thought Alex as he reflected upon his life decisions. Chapter 229. Bastiodon looked at Alex and asked curiously, "Father, did you figure out what it is?" Alex, who looked into the innocent eyes of Bastiodon filled with intrigue, suddenly fell into a predicament. After a few seconds of hesitation, he said, "It is, just as you had guessed, some kind of an armor that protects that part." Bastiodon still felt confused as this didn't solve his doubts at all. "But father, this armor is really slim, and it would prove useless in defending against any form of attack. This is the worst armor I've ever seen." Alex wondered where Bastiodon got this understanding of armor to form an assessment. But he quickly remembered that Pokemon are born with the specific knowledge that they logically shouldn't possess, which is considered very normal in this world. This knowledge appears to be very selective, and they learn it by instinct. Pokemon, for example, don't know what the internet is or how it works. But a Pokemon will suddenly learn a move for no reason or have a good understanding of it out of nowhere. This should have something to do with the gods of this world. Though there is no way to actually prove it, Alex thought curiously. Father. Bastiodon saw Alex lost in thought and said, "Are you still listening to me?" Yes, I'm listening to you," Alex, interrupted from his thoughts, said, "It's just a poorly made armor, okay?" At first, he wanted to say the words, "This armor protects something other than his life." But that would raise another question from Bastiodon, so he just chose to end this topic in a simple and direct manner. Bastiodon was still confused, but he believed in his father. In comparison, Crobat and Gardevoir showed rather skeptical looks. These two Pokemon didn't believe that Alex doesn't know what the thing is or what it is used for. And the basis for their suspicion was Alex's expressions. Alex saw these looks but pretended to never notice them. He had no interest in talking or even thinking further about this topic. Alex even thought that his Pokemon would be grateful if he didn't explain it to them. Alex even wished that he himself didn't know what it was. But unfortunately, access to the internet from a young age has its price. Lars, noticing the strange looks he was receiving from Alex and three of his Pokemon, asked, "What's up?" Alex, instead of answering, said with a deadpan face, "Come on, let's go deeper into the forest, or you won't be able to gain any experience." Lars thought that Alex doesn't like him and therefore reacted like that. He said nothing and followed Alex wordlessly. Alex said while walking, "I will only follow you and not take part in your fights or give you any tips. I am here just for your safety, and in the best scenario, I shouldn't even have to come forward to help you. So try to act as if you were alone here." Lars listened carefully to Alex and nodded in agreement. Although Alex doesn't really like Lars, he wanted to maintain a positive relationship with Lisa. So he was willing to forget the past with Lars and help him as best he can. Especially after seeing the respectful behavior of Lars, he felt that Lars would probably become Lisa's important subordinate in the future. Since Lisa trained him so well that he follows her every command, there should be no reason why Lars can't become an elite trainer, with his gold Pokemon, in 6 months at the latest. Thus, becoming a very useful subordinate. Alex and Lars went deep into the forest and started coming across Pokemon that were not weak. Lars frequently ran into Pokemon that ranged from LV 30 to LV 35. But even against a level 35 Pokemon, Lars could easily secure victory with the help of his Alakazam. Alex watched his fights and realized that Lars really wasn't so bad as a trainer. Although he was probably only better than a regular trainer and not nearly as good as a weak gym leader, it was good enough, in his opinion. Lars's fighting style was very simplistic and crude but well thought out. Lars had no actual tactic, but he always used the best moves in response to his opponent's attack. Although this seems very basic, it is not easy to do as you may think, especially in a fraction of a second. At least, ordinary trainers are not able to do it. Together with the potential of his Pokémon and the support of Lisa, Lars's future wasn't so bad. After 3 years or so, Lars will probably have the strength of a mid-elite trainer. Even if he doesn't train a lot, Alakazam should be at least LV 50 by then. If you consider that most elite trainers never manage to train a Pokémon to LV 50, Lars's future starts looking colorful. Of course, that is if he can survive that long. From the elite rank, Pokémon need experience in the wild from time to time, or you would find a giant drop in their leveling up speed. The path to achieving such strength is a risky one. After 3 hours, nothing dangerous happened, and Alex had the feeling that Lisa had wasted her favors. Suddenly Alex saw a level 39 Pokémon that Lars had discovered and was instantly on his toes. But to his surprise, Lars teleported away as soon as he saw this Pokémon. Well, at least he knows his limits, Alex thought as he asked Gardevoir to teleport to the location that he and Lars had chosen beforehand. Alex and his Pokémon arrived at the place and saw Lars waiting vigilantly for them. After seeing Alex, he started walking into the forest again. Alex, who saw this calm demeanor from Lars, was a bit impressed. He didn't know what Lisa did with Lars, but he had definitely become a satisfactory trainer. Lars and Alex stayed in the forest for another 5 hours without Alex having to intervene. When watching Lars behave, he also understood when Lars would choose to catch a Pokémon and when he wouldn't. As long as Lars estimated that the level of the defeated Pokémon is 30 or higher, he caught it. In the end, Lars caught 19 Pokémon, from which only 3 were silver, 2 shallow silver and 1 silver. The rest were bronze. The talent machine is not cheap, especially if you want to test a Pokémon again, which has triggered the chance of error. 500 x 19 equals 9,500. From the 19 Pokémon, if 2 were to repeat the test, then that would be additional 10,000 Pokédollars. 19,500 is not a small sum. But Lars was lucky to catch 3 silver Pokémon, whom he can sell and recover more than enough. These silver Pokémon should be able to sell out for at least 120,000 Pokédollars, estimated Alex as he noted the Pokémon species of these 3 silver Pokémon. And for bronze Pokémon, he can also get a little money, even if bronze Pokémon are very unpopular at a relatively high level and without any evolutions left. But he should still get at least 6,000 Pokédollars as long as he finds a buyer. Alex, who left this forest with Lars, couldn't help but feel that he had wasted quite a lot of his time. But Lisa had done a lot for him, and if this annoying mission balances out all the favors, it was worth it. Chapter 230. Alex, who was in the sky, sitting on Crobat's back, looked at the cave that was barely visible from this height. After he had fulfilled his task and had accompanied Lars for a day, he decided to rest. He went to sleep earlier that day so that he could wake up early. As the saying goes, the early bird gets the worm. With the help of Crobat, he flew back to the marked spot after finishing the breakfast. In front of the entrance to this cave, Alex could see a couple of Rhyhorn sunbathing. After checking the information about these Pokémon, he realized that the strength of this group was weaker than he was told. Pokémon. Rhyhorn. LV. 41. Type. Ground Rock. Abilities. Rock Head. Gender. Male. Potential. Deep Silver. Move. Horn Attack E Tail Whip. Fury Attack. Scary Face. Smackdown E Stomp. Bulldoze. Chip Away. Rock Blast. Drill Run. Stone Edge. There were 6 Rhyhorn in total, and only 1 was a real threat to Alex's team. 2 Rhyhorn had a Silver Potential and Deep Silver and were at LV 40 and LV 41, respectively. All the other 4 Rhyhorn were much weaker and between LV 19 and LV 34. In addition, the potential of the other 4 was only bronze. This cave should supposedly be occupied by several elite-level Pokémon, but I see only 2 weak elite level Pokemon. I don't think this Team Rocket captain has the courage to lie to me. There should be more elite level Pokemon inside the cave. Alex thought about his next step on Crobat hovering in the sky. After thinking for a while, Alex said, "Crobat, land 200 yards away from the entrance such that they don't notice us." Crobat nodded and landed in a place where no Pokemon was near, and it was approximately 200 meters away from the cave. Alex then called each of his Pokemon, except Shuppet and Vulpix, out from their Pokeballs. Fighting against several elite-level Pokemon is extremely dangerous, and Alex didn't want to let a few kids run around in the middle of the fighting. He didn't have time to babysit them. Thus, he decided to not take any chances. 1 or 2 elite Pokemon is not a problem. But from the captain's report, he had seen at least 5 elite-level Pokemon, one of which was almost a mid-elite Pokemon. The level assessment of an average trainer is often incorrect and only a rough estimate. But it is always better to have a rough estimate of the opponent's level than being in complete darkness. He wanted the diamonds and not lose the chance of making a good amount of money. Alex had never even thought about working this out peacefully with the Rhyhorn herd who owned this cave. He believed that these Rhyhorn would not be giving up this cave just because a random trainer asks them to. This cave was just too beneficial to them. Diamonds are pretty much the best food a rock, ground, or steel-type Pokemon can find in nature. They can even improve the potential of a Pokemon if it eats enough of them. Though it is very ineffective, and hardly any diamonds are used in this way. It makes more sense to sell the diamonds for big bucks and buy Pokemon food or items that can improve the potential of a Pokemon from that money. Although it is a very ineffective Pokemon food for Alex, cost-wise it is the perfect food for the Rhyhorn group. That's probably the reason why there were so many elite Pokemon in this group of Rhyhorn. There was no way that this herd of Rhyhorn would give up this cave when an enemy comes with superficially weaker strength. Alright, it's time to attack. Alex looked at his Pokemon as if saying, everyone knows what to do. His Pokemon gave a battle-ready nod and started using buff moves. An. I will explain once what everyone does and never again afterward. Crobat. Wait in the Pokeball. Scizor. Focus Energy. Double Team. Agility. Iron Defense. Swords Dance. Gardevoir. Double Team. Lucky Chant. Calm Mind. Helping Hand. Scizor. Bastiodon. Iron Defense. Rock Polish. Umbreon. Helping Hand. Blaziken. Work Up. Baton Pass. Crobat. Work Up again. Ditto. Transform to Scizor. Alex has tried many combinations, and this one was by far the most effective. He also tested how effective it is to let Umbreon use Work Up and then Baton Pass to Scizor instead of Crobat. But he found out that a Pokemon apparently has a certain limit before reinforcements become ineffective. The more reinforcements a Pokemon has, the smaller the effects of the following buff, of the same type, will be. Alex said with a serious tone, "Okay, we will now run towards these Pokemon quickly. Everyone, get ready to defeat the 6 opponents in the shortest time possible. And Bastiodon, you stay with me and watch the situation." Then he left and told each of his Pokemon their exact targets so the surprise attack could inflict massive damage. He got on the uncomfortable back of Bastiodon and made a hand gesture to go ahead and attack. After the signal, all of his Pokemon started running towards their targets like arrows shot from a bow. The response from Alex's team was so quick that after only a few seconds, they were in attack range. One of the 6 Rhyhorn recognized the danger and gave out a loud cry to warn the other Rhyhorn. Suddenly, the 6 Rhyhorn find themselves in a fight against Alex's Pokemon. But after not exchanging even 2 moves, the whole group was utterly defeated. Alex knew that these sounds of battle were very likely to attract the rest of the Rhyhorn. So he was looking at the cave's entrance with a watchful eye. And as if to confirm his suspicion, Crobat said, "Several large Pokemon are moving from this cave to us with a raging pace." Alex looked at his Pokemon and said, "Get ready for a tough fight."